It's Talk Funny, a podcast by Mark Bailey and other comics from all over. We came to Japan because apparently, Japanese girls are easy to impress. The Talk Funny podcast from NagoyaRadio.com and Nagoya Comedy. Here's Mark Bailey.
Mark Bailey back with Mike Miller. Welcome, Mike.
Hi, everybody. Great to be here.
We were talking about police issues before. They had a Black Lives Matter march in Japan.
In Nagoya, yeah.
And a month or a month and a half ago.
There was one in Tokyo and one in Osaka also.
And we saw the irony in it because the day before they had the march, I think what they think it means is, you other countries stop killing people that are different, holding them for 23 days, but we can do what we want in our country. They don't see the irony in that. Does Naomi Osaka's life matter? Does her reputation matter? Can Japanese comics make fun of her with impunity? So they were all marching. It was kind of ironic because they never thought about, like, in Japan, how are foreigners treated and how are foreigners heckled by the police and detained.
I think that's interesting. In their defense, because I was there, I will say this. I will say that I think a lot of people realize that. People want to, first of all, they want to protest what's going on in America. But I think there's a second level where they know that in Japan, to do that kind of protesting against Japanese police would be far more dangerous. And have a lot worse repercussions. It's easy to criticize America in Japan. It's same within any country other than America. You know,
it's like Vice had an episode on that about the Tokyo March.
Oh yeah, really? I didn't see.
And
that.
They said they talked to the cops, and the cops said it was like a Simpsons episode. The cops said, and Vice is not a comedy.
Yeah,
it's a documentary. The cops said, "So you're protesting the way the U.S. cops treat black and Hispanic people." Yeah. You're not talking about in Japan. Right. Okay, you can march.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the way they do it, yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's the politics of it, to be fair to the organizers. I think the organizers kind of know that, and they're kind of like, we're going to do what we can within the limits that we have. We don't want this to turn into a Japanese police issue, and there are plenty of issues there that could be protested about. But
just the ones I have.
Japanese people don't want. Yeah, Japanese people don't want to join that march.
No. No, they have cameras, and just my police issues in the last 30 years would take
more than National Geographic.
3 years. Yeah, I don't think Netflix doesn't have that much space, and that's just me, And then one thing I really resent, and you probably haven't had as many the interactions. Well, what I resent is when I tell another foreigner, and I'll say, I was stopped 8 times on my bike. It interferes with my business. I don't care the police asking me questions, but they're interfering with my business, and I'm competing with Japanese housewives. That's a disadvantage
to me. But Mark,
to me.
they're good cops.
Yeah. But they're stopping other white people, too. Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
And so, but when I say to a friend of mine who's not had that experience, I ran a bicycle rental company. I was on a bike a lot.
Bicycles are deadly when it comes to...
And I worked 7 days a week. Most foreigners don't do that. And I'm out all the time in different cities, in different parts of Aichi with 17 different bikes. I own all of them. But then I say to a guy who doesn't get out much, who works 3 days a week, well, I've never had a problem with the police. And how long have you lived here? 4 years. Okay, so I guess my 30-year experience is irrelevant.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, so it never happened. That's what I resent. No, I'm not bragging or complaining. I'm just saying you don't have to be here for 30 years. It only has to happen once to you.
Yes.
And you could disappear for 23 days.
Yes, 23 days. And that is the thing that most people outside Japan, and we talked about it before on a previous podcast about Carlos Ghosn and how he was held in custody for, 100 days?
No signs in that protest about Ghosn at all.
No, and you're
Nothing.
right. Well, and like I said, I think that's the politics of it. This is easy to protest about America. It's hard to protest about Japan, especially if you're a foreigner. What, the cops get you on video and you go to renew your visa and they go, oh, by the way, we found you were in a protest. There's a case, this is a historical precedent, where in the 60s there was an American living in Japan who went to protest the Vietnam War with a group of Japanese students and then went to get his visa renewed and they said, we're not renewing your visa. And he said, why? And, well, you were in this protest. He took it to the Supreme Court of Japan. They're like, yeah, that's okay. You can do that. Freedom of speech, no. Freedom of speech is no justification. You can kick him out of the country.
Wow.
So...
It's dangerous from the US.
There are repercussions to that kind of thing in Japan.
It's like the old Yakov Smirnoff, brilliant. I think he's brilliant. Jewish-Russian comic from
now
the 80s.
Now in Branson.
Yeah, he's doing great. He's still got good jokes. He had a joke where he said, well, here in the U.S. we like to make jokes about Cleveland. And also in Russia, what we do is we make jokes about Cleveland. Yeah. In Japan, you can march against Minneapolis, or in the U.S. you can march, or in the USSR you can march against Minneapolis. But in Japan, you cannot march against Tokyo.
No. Well, look at the same thing with China.
Look at that idiot mayor that keep reelecting.
Yeah. What, Tokyo?
Tokyo.
Oh, he's gone,
He's
though.
gone.
Ishihara, yeah, he's gone. Oh, now he's in Parliament. He's in the Diet.
Oh, okay,
he
well, that's
graduated.
better.
He graduated.
Yeah, okay,
He graduated.
well, what harm could he do?
Yeah, it's kind of scary, like the repercussions, and that's why people don't want to talk about those things in Japan. It just, let's not talk about.
You can see this on YouTube now. They still have in Nagoya, and Nagoya is they're still very conservative. A lot of old people in Nagoya, and they're still, before Corona, when you have Corona, I notice people are learning self-distancing, so you have 3 people sitting on a big long line of seats, and it's not that crowded. But back before then, you'd be crowded at subway trains, and you're a foreigner, and there's an open seat next to you all the way into Sakai.
Yes.
Nobody will sit there.
Yeah.
That's kind of the water fountain for gaijin.
That's why gaijin are less susceptible to coronavirus in Japan.
Yeah.
Because we already have a social bubble. We already have social distancing.
Speaking of social, we want to transition to a phenomenon we have with our comedy shows. Sometimes we have hecklers who are our friends, and we're on stage, we're like, I thought this guy liked me. He paid to see us. What is he heckling us for? And it's not malice. It's that he's trying to like subconsciously let us know that he wants to do open mic.
Yeah.
And I always tell these guys, if you have a funny joke about my wife, tell it on stage. Don't shout it to me while I'm doing my act. The old joke, when you're out there jerking off sailors, I don't take your Vaseline away.
Right.
You know? Right? So when I'm up there
You
prostituting
come down,
myself...
I don't go down to your line, your place of work and knock the whatever out of the whatever,
I don't knock the bull's sexual organs out of your hand when you're doing your job.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm out there prostituting myself.
Yeah, exactly.
You prostitute yourself on your time.
Yeah.
So what we always tell them is, listen, we're not going to heckle you, but the place for that is open mic, and maybe it works, and maybe it doesn't work. Shouting from the audience, you're interfering with us, and you don't even know if it's funny or not.
And they're frustrated, and like you were saying, it's because they're frustrated comics. They want to get up on stage, but they haven't yet maybe got up the courage. It's much easier to yell out something in the back of a room in the dark than it is to do that on stage under the bright lights, right?
I remember, there's a guy, we'll call him the short guy, and he's a good friend of ours, and he still comes to our shows, and we love him, and we've tried repeatedly to get him to do open mic. And we said, we're actually nurturing, I know we sound like sarcastic a-holes, we nurture young comics because we were one at a time.
Not like Tokyo.
Yeah.
That's another story for another podcast.
I did a joke my very first set at GC, and I said, I love my wife, and then go on to prove how I don't. But he goes, yeah, we all love your wife. And I said, that's actually funny, but this is not the time or place.
Yeah.
The time or place would have been open mic for that. And then we've each told him, I told him before, I said, I know you want to try some stuff out. He got divorced a few years ago, and I said, I think you want to talk about that, and I think you'd be funny about it, and I'll help you, but not from the audience. Can't do it from there. Then there's another guy, very jovial guy, funny in person and hilarious. Doesn't come to our shows, apparently. And I think he'd be perfect for open mic. But what is that? You're afraid that you've been aggressive as a heckler, and then you're afraid we're going to heckle you. We had a bartender that heckled us, and I really tried to get him on stage.
I did too.
You could be on our team, but you can't do it from the bar.
Yeah.
You can't be a bartender and heckle us. We're on your side. We're trying to promote your damn drinks, right? And you are funny. Some of your heckles have been funny, but that is not correct. That's not the right place. You can't go to the
guy
police.
said nice things about us, and
He supported us in a weird way.
But in a weird way, but it's a shame he wasn't able to get on stage, because life's short, if that's the lesson,
apparently it is, and we don't resent hecklers. I just kind of think of them in the Judaic kind of senses. When you heckle me from the audience, I think, like, how can I help this person? Like, what do they need from me? Because they're not saying I'm not funny, but they want to be part of it. And we're always recruiting. I'll help you.
Yeah.
Tell me. And you do open mic, and my only rule is you keep the time. If you need help, we actually are very positive. We get up, my set is all negative.
Each other,
No, that's what families are for.
Exactly.
But if you want to come be part of us, we're always open to that.
Yes.
We had a guy who just graduated, and we pay him now. He still asks us to break the law, but we and to cash
Which
checks.
is a story for another day.
But it's like, look, when I pay Mike and Tim and stuff, I don't help them with their problems anymore because I paid you. Get out of here. You're paid.
I pay you to go away.
Take your 800 yen and get out of here.
Get out of here and get yourself a beer.
When I'm saying that's it, it's just I do that with everybody. I'm managing. I'm the MC. I have to manage the time.
And when we were at Midtown, it had to be especially strict because they close at 10? At that, I don't know, they're in a new location now.
Yeah.
But at that time, they had to close at 10 p.m. or something.
Yeah, it was like
ridiculous.
Amish hours or something.
It's nuts. Like, do you want to make money? Because
Except for
that's
comedy
not
club.
how you make money.
It's like
Closing at 10 is not how you make money on drinks.
Except for Comedy Club, it's like the first Letterman show was from 10 a.m.
Yeah.
That's not Letterman's time.
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't do that well. Let's have a
Exactly.
comedy show and end at 8.
Yeah, there's a great
No,
idea.
comics don't wake up until 8
Yeah,
p.m.
yeah, exactly.
When I went to Tokyo, and I would tell the guys, like, we do whatever we want.
Yeah.
If we wanted to do 2.5 hours, we booked the day, and they're like, what? They're like, well, how many, like, the new guy, like, how much time did he have? And I say, well, 10. If he wants 12, he gets 12. So the open micers get 3, and sometimes they get 5. What? They get 5? Because they get 3 or 4 in Tokyo. The new guy gets 10 or 12 because the new guy gets 5.
Yeah.
And visiting comics get 5. It depends on if they have people from Britain
Yeah.
and stuff coming
Yeah.
in. And all these clicks.
It's just ridiculous. And it's kind of like, it's interesting because, it's kind of interesting how, like, gaijin living in Japan, and I can say gaijin because I am one. You should in Japan say gaikokujin, which means foreign country person, right? Whereas gaijin just means outsider.
I could say gaijin
Right.
because I'm a bigot.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. I have a racism problem. But the thing is, it's funny how there's this culture in Japan they call the senpai kohai culture we probably talked about before, the senior and junior, right?
Yep.
Where the senior is supposed to support the junior, and the junior is supposed to look up to the senior and not question the senior and be subservient, right? And there's a kind of culture among some foreigners in Japan that's the way it should be for foreigners. Oh, hey, Mark, how long you been in Japan? Oh, 2 months. Oh, really? Oh, I've been here for 20 years, so yeah, you must be like nobody.
Yeah.
There's that kind of culture, and it seems like that's what it is in the comedy in Tokyo, kind of, right?
Yeah, in Tokyo, it's just
Which is stupid.
A musician got drafted into being the head
Right.
of the comedy scene
Which
there.
is a very exclusive, unpaid position.
Even in Nagoya, like the new guy, as soon as I promote somebody, we all make the same. I think the last show we made 2,000 yen. That's actually pretty good for us.
Mark says he's not a bleeding heart liberal, but in his heart he's a socialist because
Well,
we all get paid the same.
Yeah, I pay.
It's like a kibbutz. We're like a kibbutz here.
Well, Mike and I actually pay to keep up the structure. Mike
little
pays.
bit.
Mike
A little
pays for
bit.
the
A
website,
little bit,
and
but
I
it's
pay
not
for the
that much.
podcast
It's
stuff.
not that much,
But we pay everybody the
Yeah,
same, and then we spend a lot more on drinks than we get
Exactly.
paid.
It's like
anyway.
that famous,
coupon.
I watched recently.
It's a Groupon.
Yeah, Groupon
for comedy.
I recently watched the Blues Brothers again, and you remember the
Yeah.
Bob's Comedy Bunker or whatever.
They
Bob's
throw bottles.
Country Bunker there, and that's pretty much the situation with comedy. Was like, well, it was great. Here's your $100. By the way, you owe us $300 for the drinks. You know,
Get that back.
that's the way it is.
It's been Mark Bailey and Mike Miller and Talk Money. We'll see you next time, guys.